Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I would like to bring the K-12 Education Subcommittee to order. Madam Clerk, you may take the roll. 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 You may close the roll. A quorum is present to conduct our business today. Thank you for joining us in person and online. We have a busy docket, so we will be moving at a brisk pace. We ask that you keep your testimony to less than 1 minute and address any comments to the chair, and please exercise decorum and respect for our members. First, we will take testimony in person in favor, then we will move to in-person opposed. This will be followed by online to hear in-person testimony in favor and then opposed. For online testimony, please keep your comments to less than 1 minute and turn your camera on per the rules of the House of Delegates. You can also submit comments using hodspeak.house.virginia.gov. That being said, and without objection, let's get started. First, we have a few general housekeeping items. We have a few patrons who have asked for their bills to go by. That is HB 478 from Chair Watts, and also HB 195 from Chair McQuinn. Both of these patrons have asked for these to go by for the day. This is a voice vote. Can I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that these go by for the day. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. And now we have a few patrons who need to move on to other committee meetings. Let's start with Delegate Austin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have before you today two bills. HB 786 is an energy drink ban, and HB 785 is a dual enrollment bill.
Thank you. I believe 785 is going to be rolled into Delegate Rasool's HB 1171. Can I? 332. No, sorry. It will be rolled into HB 332. Can I have a motion? Okay, that is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Okay, that bill is incorporated into Chair Rasool's, so you may continue with HB 786.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate Senator Rasool representing that bill. It's a very important piece of legislation for our education. 786, Madam Chair, gives the local school boards the authority to prohibit energy drinks in public schools. Federal smart snacks standard governs what foods and beverages may be sold during the school day. At the high school level, these federal rules currently allow low or no calorie beverages, including some caffeinated options. In Virginia, however, beverages are excluded from the definition of competitive foods, and Virginia Board of Education regulations therefore do not apply to them. As a result, neither the Board of Education nor local school boards have clear authority to set or enforce beverage standards in schools. While the Department of Education discourages caffeinated products as a best practice, there is currently no state or local regulatory framework addressing the sale of energy drinks in high schools. 785 addresses this gap by granting local school boards the authority to decide. Energy drinks have 2 times more caffeine than a cup of coffee, plus vitamin B vitamins. These drinks are Red Bull, Monster, and Celsius. So I think, Madam Chair, they're exciting kids, getting them active, getting them energy motivated, and it's difficult to get their attention in the classroom. And I don't see a need for these to be provided to students during the classroom day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the committee? Hearing none, do we have any testimony in person in favor of this bill? Any testimony in person against this bill? Do we have any online testimony? Okay. We are back to the pleasure of the committee. I do find it interesting that this is about energy drinks is really what drew you to this issue.
Very correct.
Do we have any questions or comments from members of the committee? Delegate Doherty.
Yeah, just like clarification on energy drinks versus caffeinated beverages, which is stated in the bill. So kids won't have access to, different pop sodas.
No, ma'am, just the high energy, high caffeinated products.
Okay, but so that's
Monster, Red Bull, things of that nature, which provide a lot of caffeine.
okay, but it doesn't say that in the bill. It just says caffeinated. Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. It doesn't state that specifically in the bill, or at least in the summary that I have.
Council, could you let us know, is this going to apply to Coca-Cola and to Red Bull, or is it just going to apply to Red Bull?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, so looking at line 27 of the bill, it does just say caffeinated beverages. So to the extent that the Coca-Cola has caffeine in it, the school board would be permitted to prohibit the sale of that beverage.
Permitted being the operative word. So this is a permissive bill. It will just give school boards the ability to ban them if they want to. Any other discussion from members of the committee?
Yes. Madam Chair, if I can ask the delegate, how does this affect the school's ability to fundraise? A lot of schools have snack bars and after-school activities that they rely on income from Coke, for example.
Madam Chair,
Delegate?
I would say, Madam Chair, that could prohibit that opportunity somewhat, but I think the benefit and the value is it would give the school board the permission to regulate whatever caffeinated drinks they want. I think the schools could identify what caffeinated products that they don't want sold during the day in their vending machines. There's the interest. There's where our interests lie. It's in the high energy drinks. It's not necessarily the beverage products, soft drink products, but I think it's permissive to the school board to define what they would allow and what they would not allow.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Council, do you interpret it that way, that the individual schools can decide which drinks they are going to offer and which drinks they won't?
Madam Chair, I do, to the extent that there's any desire to clarify on line 27, you could add some clarifying language to say any school board may prohibit the sale of something like all or any variety of caffeinated beverages to students.
Delegate, would you consider that a friendly amendment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, could we offer that up as an amendment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we will clarify that it could be all or any.
Certain, yes, ma'am. Certain caffeinated products would be fine.
Okay, can I have a motion to that effect? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, so the bill is now amended before us. This committee operates by motion. It's been moved to report.
As amended.
And properly seconded as amended. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill passes 10-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thank you kindly.
Delegate Guzman.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I bring to you House Bill 416, which amends and reenacts provisions of the Code of Virginia relating to the use of school buses for public purposes and the reimbursement of insurance costs associated with that use. Madam Chair, if you recall, during the session of 2022, we allowed school school boards to create these partnerships in order to generate income for the schools. However, we never consider the insurance costs associated with it. So under current statute, when school buses are used for county purposes, the county is required to provide insurance coverage to the school division. While well-intentioned, this requirement has proven unworkable in practice. Although counties are both willing and financially able to pay for the required coverage, insurers have consistently advised that coverage cannot be obtained because the county does not own the buses and therefore lacks an insurable interest. As a result, the insurance required by law cannot be secure, creating significant liability concerns, uncertainty, and regarding financial responsibility, and a strong disincentive to share use. These barriers ultimately cause school buses to remain idle during periods when they are not needed for student transportation, even though they could otherwise be deployed in a cost-effective manner to support county parks and recreation programs, such as summer camps. This bill addresses the problem by allowing counties and other localities to reimburse the school division for any insurance costs or additional insurance costs incurred as a result of county use of school buses. And I'm carrying this priority for my locality, for my school board in Prince William County.
What is your school board?
Prince William County.
Okay, for Prince William County. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Any questions from members of the committee? No? Okay. Do we have people here who would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Madam Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Glenn Loop with Prince William County. This was a recommendation of our legislative agenda this year, and we have Jennifer Bader from County Risk Management online to give you the expert piece of the synopsis.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone here in the room who would like to be opposed to this bill? Okay, moving online. Let's see if we have someone. Madam Chair, someone said, did you want to? Sorry. Okay, come on up.
I'm Dr. Sheila Fury. I'm not opposed to the bill. I think the bill should be expanded to include anyone in the community, any organization in the community that needs a bus when the bus isn't used. The buses are paid for by the tax dollars. So if a church needs to use that bus or any other organization within the community, they should be allowed to use the bus also.
Thank you. All right, going online. Ms. Jennifer Bader.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Jennifer Bader, and I am with Prince William County Government's Risk Management Office, and I'm here to support HB 416 on behalf of the county. Prince William County partners with our school division to utilize school buses and the drivers during times that the school buses aren't being used, mainly for summer camps and recreation programs. And the current statute is requiring we provide insurance coverage. And while we as a county are willing to acquire and pay for that insurance, there is no insurance provider that will give us that coverage on behalf of the school division because we have no insurable interest. We don't own the buses and we don't employ the bus drivers. So the county is requesting the adoption of this amendment to allow Prince William County and other localities to provide the flexibility and the authority to reimburse the school division for their cost of insurance and any other insurance-related costs.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Thanks for being with us today. Back to the committee. Do we have any questions for the patron or final comments on this bill? Yes, Delegate Cherry.
Madam Chair, I would ask the delegate, and making sure I'm understanding, so the local school division is going to still carry the coverage. The outside entity is going to reimburse, but the county is still the one that's on the hook for if there's an accident, if there's still a liability that attaches with that, in my understanding. So I guess the question would be, how do we mitigate that aspect of it in liability, increase costs if there's an accident, I understand that county is willing to carry it, but I'm trying to figure out the logistics of an outside agency using a county asset and then having an accident, if there's any explanation for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would tell to the delegate that I will have to use my insurance agent license that I used to have in the past to explain to him the process. What I am not, this is giving permission, but I would say that this will take place in a technical way, and we have the experts here, that we will provide a certificate of insurance for the day, so they could use the bus for that specific date, and they will pay a prorated cost for the day of usage, of hours of usage. But this is just in the field. I'm not here to tell you how it would happen on the field, but that's what I would think it would happen, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? Yes.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Madam Chair. Do we know how this affects the insurance rate? Because sometimes when you add additional assured, then would it affect the county's rate at all, or is that super specific by county?
Madam Chair, what I would tell the delegate that in this case, the insurance is carried by the school board. And if the school board is requesting this policy, I would say that if there is an accident like anybody else when we have insurance, that is a liability that they are willing to absorb if they were to have this agreement. Thank you.
Any other discussion from members of the committee? Okay, this committee operates by motion. Okay, it's been moved to report and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 9-1. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee.
Delegate Bennett Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is House Bill 382. This is a permissive bill that updates our code to address inflation and differences amongst localities. Currently, a school board is only allowed to pay its chair up to $2,000 more than a standard school board member receives. This salary cap was last increased 24 years ago in 2002 when it was raised from $1,100 to $2,000. This bill would update that cap and allow school boards, if they so choose, to pay their chairs up to $3,500 more than the member salary, or up to 30% more. Additionally, the law is currently silent on whether vice chairs can be paid more, and this bill would also provide that vice chairs can be paid up to $1,750 more than the member salary, or 15%. We added percentages because of the wide range of school board salaries across Virginia. The average appears to be around $7,000, but it ranges from nothing to more than $25,000. School board is a difficult job, and school board chairs and vice chairs do a tremendous amount of work that goes beyond the base work of a school board member. It's common for school board leadership to have a number of extra meetings with their superintendent, with boards and commissions, with PTAs and other organizations. One of our colleagues who was previously the vice chair of her school board told me that she attended an extra 100 meetings per year as vice chair. Again, this bill is completely permissive and simply updates the state cap to address inflation and differences amongst localities. A school board does not have to pay its chair or vice chair anything more than what they are currently paying them, or anything more than what a member receives. I hope the subcommittee will recommend reporting the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions for the patron? Anyone who would like to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone present who would like to speak opposed to this bill? Moving online, I believe we do have one person. Dr. Ashley Simpson, go right ahead.
Good morning, Chair, and hello to the subcommittee. Thank you for taking my testimony today. My name is Ashley Simpson Baird. I'm a school board member with Alexandria City Public Schools, and I'm here to support Delegate Bennett Parker's Bill HB 382 to allow us to pay our school board chair and vice chair more money. As the delegate mentioned, leadership on the school board is a big job. You have additional meetings and time commitments and responsibilities that go beyond that of a regular school board member. And we would like to honor and encourage our colleagues to pursue those roles and recognize their time with additional compensation. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the committee. Delegate Cherry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No harm meant to the bill, just a question for the patron. Is this something that has been a big push? Have you had a lot of people reach out to you wanting something like this, or is this something you just identified as being a need in your community and therefore you brought the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the delegate, I would say that I heard about this need from school board members, those in my community, and others. Again, we have colleagues who have served on this as well and talked about the tremendous amount of additional work it is to be in leadership and just wanting to encourage people to do those jobs.
Thank you. Back to the committee. The committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
It's been moved and properly seconded to report. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 9-1. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Reed.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I have two bills before you this morning. The first is House Bill 182, which I believe that we have an amendment in the nature of a substitute.
Can we have a motion on the substitute? All those in favor say aye. Aye. The substitute is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Just to tell you, give you an idea of what the substitute does is the first part of this is this is the legislation on allowing local school boards to be able to offer African American studies as a substitute history credit for in lieu of world history or world geography, and this now conforms to Senator Bagby's version, which is making its way through the Senate. The other part of the substitute is providing some additional guidance to the Board of Education about how the guidelines would be promulgated related to this. So as we had this passed last year, I believe with broad bipartisan support, it was then vetoed by the governor. But the intent of this legislation is, as we continue to reconcile with the 400-year history of both the nation being the birth of the American democracy, as well as the fact that when that was occurring, as the very first House of Delegates, House of Burgesses, was meeting in Jamestown in 1619, then not 30 miles down the road at Point Comfort was where the first Africans were brought ashore and enslaved in Virginia. Those two items have been intertwined in both the nation's history as well as American history for the last 400 years. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to allow students, this is permissive in nature, we want to be able to allow students to be able to make the choice to take African American history or AP African American studies and substitute those for other requirements, which would be World History 1 or World Geography.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, do we have people present who would like to testify in favor of the bill? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to the bill? Okay, moving online. We have Meg Gruber online. Go right ahead, Ms. Gruber. Unmute, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to you and the members of the subcommittee. My name is Meg Gruber. I'm a retired educator representing the Virginia Education Association. We support this bill. I think it's, from the perspective, as Delegate Reed said, it's extremely important that we start now weaving our history into fully conceptually what's going on at that time period. I didn't, personally, I didn't like history as a science major, but because I didn't understand conceptually how everything fit together. And I think it's very critical that our students have this opportunity to learn full history of what's happened in our country. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are back to the committee. Delegate Cherry.
Madam Chair, looks like this is a completely permissive bill. I would just ask of the delegate that we're not creating a new course, that it specifies that if the course is already available, it's substitutable, but it does not require a school division to create a course to allow this to be taught.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So in response to Delegate Cherry's question, he is entirely correct. This is permissive in nature. One of the things that we wanted to make a very specific point about is that where there are school divisions who have already created this curriculum and had it approved and are currently offering, that is the only place where this would apply. And again, it would be up to the school division to be able to make that decision.
Madam Chair, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying I'm right. I don't hear it very often, so I appreciate that.
Well, we're going to mix that in with a science person who doesn't like history, so we'll.
All right. Delegate Askew.
Madam Chair, move to report.
Second. It's been moved to report and properly seconded.
As substituted.
As substituted. You may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports on a vote of 7-3.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the subcommittee. I believe I have another bill before you, if you'd like for me to continue.
Yes, please continue.
Okay, thank you. House Bill 410 also has the amendment in a nature of a substitute.
Move substitute.
All those in favor of the substitute, say aye. Aye. It's been properly moved and it is before us.
Just to clarify what's being done in the substitute, and this is the legislation that would create a statewide in-school SAT program for both juniors and seniors. Originally, it was done just for juniors, and now it's being done for both juniors and seniors. And also language has been added that would stipulate that this is a program that would only be offered as long as there is state funding to support it. So I imagine you probably have to send this to appropriations if the committee is favorably disposed towards this. So let me just give you some information in the background about how we kind of came to this. Virginia's current SAT participation is really at only about 51%, which means that almost just half of the people don't take an SAT. When you start to analyze why it is that someone doesn't take an SAT, I want you to think through this. Sometimes it might be the $60 fee, because that $60 can mean a lot to some people, because oftentimes the actual test is going to be held on a Saturday, perhaps in some other jurisdiction. So if you are someone who is responsible taking care of your family at home because your parents might be off working, or if you don't have additional transportation to be able to get to the location, there's a lot of impediments that currently exist for someone to be able to take the SAT in a convenient, low-cost manner. And what we may unintentionally be doing is we may unintentionally be preventing individuals from being able to even have an opportunity to go to college. Now, once they take the SAT, and if they do well, and they happen to be a first-generation college student, then that will put them on the radar for other universities that might offer them scholarships and opportunities. And much like myself, being the first person in my family ever to get a college degree, it's like I know how valuable this can be to be able to break the cycle of poverty that some people may live in. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to address many of those different impediments to be able to take the SAT test. And the way that this legislation approaches this is by requiring that it be done during the school day, because again, as I have talked with some other folks, it's like, okay, even if you push it off into the evening, then what you've done is like, how does that child get home if they've ridden the bus to school? So do it during the school day, make sure that they're aware of the fee waiver programs, and provide some additional funding from the state to be able to compensate for the additional cost difference, as well as the additional cost that might be incurred by having teachers being able to facilitate the exam. So, Madam Chair, that's what the legislation is attempting to address.
Thank you, Delegate. Can you tell us a little more about the substitute and what changes you made?
Yes, so the substitute was really intended to change from just being juniors to juniors and seniors, and that was at the request of the Virginia Superintendents Association. And then the other part was to add in language that ensures that this is not an unfunded mandate.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Delegate Bulova.
If I could ask the delegate, in Fairfax County, which already has this program for seniors in October, how would this affect the Fairfax County Public Schools?
Madam Chair, in my opinion, I am aware that some school systems across the Commonwealth are doing this and are able to do this. So it would be my hope that it's not going to adversely impact that, but it might be that there would be additional funding available from the state that would help other Title I schools or other individuals who meet the need to be able to take advantage of the test.
Thank you. All right, do we have anyone here in person who wishes to speak in favor of this bill? Do we have anyone here in person who wishes to speak in opposition? Moving online, we do have several folks online. We'll start with Kristen Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Kristen Young. I am working with VEA. I am a retired educator with Virginia. We support this bill. It requires school divisions to offer this SAT to juniors. This requirement creates access for all of Virginia's high school juniors, no matter their address, their family income, or the ability of student and teacher ratio of teacher support. I know when I taught elementary, I had 20-some kids with me. When I moved up to high school, I had hundreds, and trying to support hundreds was way different than when I just had an elementary classroom. So when I was working with my high school ESL students, trying to help them navigate the whole situation, getting off work, getting family involved, making sure transportation was set in, was a really big deal. So this will create the access that is not necessarily always there, as well as the cost. The drive is then out of the hands of people like me who were the classroom teacher and puts it into the division and the ability to just go ahead and have the parameters there that everyone has the access. We support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your online testimony. Ben.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Ben Pearson Nelson, Virginia Parent-Teacher Association. We also support the bill for the reasons stated. Delegate Reed and my colleague from the VEA did an excellent job outlining this. We are focused on reducing barriers to taking the SAT, and we appreciate this piece of legislation.
Thank you. We are back to members of the committee. This committee operates by motion.
Madam Chair, move to refer and report to appropriations. As substitute.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 9-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
Next up, let's see, Delegate Cohen. You have two bills before us. Let's begin with 201, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. Today I have HB 201. It should look familiar to those of you who've been here before. It will require each local school board to develop and implement a policy to require annual notification to the parent guardian of each student enrolled in the local school division to be sent by email and text message within 30 days of the first day of each school year via email and/or text. And thanks to Delegate Cherry last year who added if they are able to email or text. This notification will remind parents of the importance of securely storing not only their legal obligation to safely store any firearm, but also to store prescription drugs in the household where minors are present. This bill also requires each school board to make such parental notification available in multiple languages on its website. We got a call from the Attorney General's office last night that they are adding their support to this bill as well. So I'm hopeful that this subcommittee will pass this bill for the third time and maybe we'll get it over the hump.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, let's move to testimony. Do we have anyone who would like to testify in favor? Anyone here to testify in opposition? All right, it looks like we do have some folks online. So let's move online. Please turn on your cameras and keep your testimony to less than 1 minute. Let's start with Mr. Siebert.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you. Alan Siebert, Roanoke City Public Schools. We thank the patron for the bill. Roanoke City Public Schools has been a leader in trying to communicate and advocate, and we provide gun locks and a whole host of other resources to families in our community. I know the weather has interfered, and so I did email the patron what we think is a friendly amendment, and hope that maybe they could be considered now or before full committee. Just currently the language says by email and if applicable SMS text messages. We would recommend that it be changed to sent simultaneously with other materials customarily distributed at this time. We have a robust section in our parent-student handbook that addresses these things and provides additional information about the resources we provide. And we would like to keep it in line with all the other notifications that are in accordance with notifications to families that are throughout the code. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just stop there. Delegate Cohen, do you have those suggested amendments?
I do. I did not actually consider them a friendly amendment, as the intention of this, because of the gravity and nature of the number of hospitalizations and deaths from both prescription drugs and unsecured loaded firearms. The intention of this is to be a separate communication.
Okay. All right. Back to online testimony, please. All right, let's go to Doris.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Doris, and I am a constituent of Delegate Cohen. I am with Moms Demand Action, and I'm a retired teacher, Fairfax County Public Schools, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ben.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Virginia Parent Teacher Association, as is widely known among those of us who study mortality, gun deaths are the #1 cause of mortality in children. The Virginia PTA strongly supports this bill as a step toward common sense gun reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Meg.
Meg Gruber, representing VEA. We also strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Jackie.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jackie Beelhart, and I'm a member of Virginians for Change, a gun violence advocacy organization. I'm also a mother of a kindergartner in Chesterfield County Public Schools. In my parent handbook, there's a section on health which mentions opioids and has 3 paragraphs on tobacco use, but guns are not mentioned once, despite them being the #1 cause of death in children. Additionally, my child recently had a presentation in her classroom of McGruff talks to students about gun safety and brought home a flyer for parents. While the flyer discusses what a child should do in case they find a gun, nowhere on this flyer for guardians does it say that adults are responsible for safely storing guns in a home with in a home with minors. Our advocacy organization, along with several others, have tried going county by county and city by city to get safe storage information provided to guardians, but it's been incredibly time-consuming and a real challenge. Therefore, our organization supports HB 201, and we thank Delegate Cohen for sponsoring this bill.
Thank you. Last, we have Joan.
Good morning, thank you. First, I want to thank Delegate Cohen for her efforts. She does not give up, and I appreciate that. I'm also a volunteer with Moms Demand Action in Northern Virginia. I've heard people refer to themselves as retired educators. I consider myself a lifelong educator. We never stop being educators. I'm also a mother. My children are past school age. However, my adult daughter is currently substitute teaching in Los Angeles County, and which of course is far from us. But I also understand the fear of a parent when their child goes into a public school. Schools and homes are partners in our children's behalf. We should not be having to fear for their safety when they go into public schools.
Thank
and
you.
All this bill does is notify families of their obligation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. All right, we're back to the committee. Any further discussion? She wasn't on the screen. we can go back to online testimony, but I did not see Ann Tatus there. Do you see her there? No. Okay, we're done. Back to the committee. Do we have any questions or any final comments? Okay, this committee operates by motion.
Second.
It's been moved to report and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. That bill reports 7-3. You may close the roll. All right. Now you have one more bill before us.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. HB 462 involves healthcare literacy. It was brought to us by our friendly neighborhood pediatrician in my district, and we would be working in concert with several other states who are trying to incorporate. Oh, first I have a substitute. My apologies. There should be a substitute that is hopefully on your desk, and I was asked by Madam Chair to remove the section that spoke to the economics and personal finance course and just focus on 9th and 10th health curriculum. So I'm hoping that's in front of you.
Do we have the substitute before us? All right. Can I get a motion on the substitute?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the substitute? Aye. Okay, so why don't we talk about the substitute before us and what it does?
Thank you. As substituted, House Bill 462 requires the Virginia Board of Education to include healthcare literacy instruction in the 9th and 10th grade health curriculum. This addition will help students by increasing their understanding of key topics such as navigating the healthcare system as a patient, accessing and understanding health information, assessing the credibility and relevance of health information, making informed healthcare decisions, and communicating with healthcare professionals. As the healthcare landscape gets increasingly more complicated and complex, it's imperative that our students have the tools to more efficiently and effectively understand the resources and information available to them. I hope it'll be the will of the subcommittee to pass this bill.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the subcommittee? All right. Do we have members here who would like to speak in favor? Any persons present who would like to speak opposed? And could you state your name?
I'm Dr. Sheila Fury. I am a physician. Over 50% of our children are chronically ill. We're not asking that question. We're not asking questions about mandated medicine and that there is no choice in medicine. And further, as a physician, I'm a physician who deals with this every single day. It is a complete and utter nightmare. It is wrought with fraud. Fraud at every single level. Every insurance company, every major corporation involved in healthcare, is that going to be taught? When I get a bill or a patient of mine gets a bill for $100,000 and then all of a sudden $80,000 of that bill is gone, why does that happen? All right? When you are on one insurance plan and the drug cost $1,000, all right? But when you turn 65, that drug is no longer available to you, and the only drug that is available costs $6,000. The amount of fraud in healthcare is overwhelming. It cannot be taught at the high school level. And if you're going to teach anything to high school students, it's how to eat healthy, how to get rid of processed foods in their diet, and how to exercise. We have the children in our school systems and across this nation are starving because of the crappy food that they're given.
Thank you very much for your testimony. So moving online, we do have a number of folks who would like to testify. Remember to turn your cameras on and keep your testimony to less than 1 minute. Let's start first with Karen.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for having me this morning. My name is Karen Commander. I'm a registered nurse by training, and I also serve as the president of the United States Health Literacy Association. Health literacy is a foundational life skill. Nearly 90% of U.S. adults lack proficient health literacy. And gaps don't begin in adulthood. They reflect what we fail to teach early. High school education is the most effective place to build these skills before the consequences become costly and irreversible. Students are already navigating health information online, often without guidance. Health literacy education equips them to evaluate sources, recognize misinformation, and ask informed questions. In a digital and AI-enabled health environment, these skills are no longer optional. They are essential for safety. Health literacy is prevention, it is safety, it is equity. HB 462 ensures students graduate prepared not just for tests, but for life. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Dr. Gardner. Gardner?
Good morning. I'm Fred Garner. I'm a pediatrician, and I've practiced primary care in Virginia for more than 50 years. And I'd like to echo Karen Commando's statements, strongly support HB 462. As stated, the majority of people in this country are health illiterate. Their parents, and they are unable to teach their students because of their own lack of knowledge. The health literacy and healthcare literacy, and importantly now, the digital healthcare literacy that they need. Thus, I would strongly recommend that the committee committed to the education of Virginia citizens to support this bill. It has been shown in other countries that health literacy increases better health care outcomes.
Thank you.
Patient satisfaction, and importantly,
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and your testimony today. All right, Dr. Cantone.
Good morning, Madam Chair and esteemed subcommittee members. I'm a practicing internist and pediatrician, board certified. I've been published. I've been practicing for over 30 years. In a country such as ours, with the vast resources that we have, our healthcare outcomes are deplorable. That's due to a number of reasons, which include access to care and nutrition, and one glaring fault that we have is healthcare literacy or lack thereof. This is a bill that, if passed, can make great strides in terms of closing the gap in this glaring deficit that we have. Seeing patients who have no idea about how to take care of themselves, their family, or how to access the medical care that they need is heartbreaking. We can do something about it, and this bill will go a very long way into making that happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony today. Thank you for everybody who testified online. Now back to the committee. I see that Delegate Tato. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the delegate for bringing this bill. I think it's important, and to the testimony from the physician, she's right. We do need more information about other things that are important in the health-related space. And I'm going to support this bill, but I am curious, who's going to vet, who's going to decide what that information and that curriculum is going to be?
Madam Chair.
Chair Rasool.
Madam Chair, if Delegate Tata doesn't mind, I think I'd like to provide some clarification and a path forward for this.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So there's a slightly different version that we would like to move forward with that provides a Section 1 bill that the next time the health SOLs are updated, that this is integrated into it. So that way there are a number of eyes that are on top of it. So if the committee so chooses to go that path, we would simply reconsider the motion by which we adopted this substitute, adopt the other substitute that is drafted that the clerk can report, and then that way it would go through kind of that process.
Yeah. So can we have a motion to withdraw the substitute to this bill?
Motion to withdraw. Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. And now let's have the clerk explain the new substitute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the new substitute is now posted on LIS. As the chairman described it, it's a Section 1 bill, which would say that the Board of Education, during its next regularly scheduled revision of the health education standards of learning and curriculum framework, shall require in grades 9 and 10 health literacy instruction. And then it also requires the board to consider the following topics and content for inclusion in such instruction, and those are the same topics and content that were in Delegate Cohen's original bill and the substitute that she just offered.
Move the substitute.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, so we have a new substitute before us which updates the SOLs in the next regularly scheduled review for the health SOLs. Any discussion from the patron?
No, I'm appreciative of the opportunity to go ahead and put this in the code, and look forward to finding out when the next regularly scheduled revision is.
All right. Back to the committee. Delegate Rasool. Chair Rasool. All good? All right. This committee operates by motion.
Move to report as substituted.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 9-1.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Delegate Helmer. Okay. Delegate Anthony, you've been waiting patiently.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I would like to move some amendments in the form of a substitute.
Second. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Okay, the amendments are properly before us.
All right, so I would like to just reiterate the amendments that we made to this for HB 180, Work-Based Learning Coordinator Pilot Program. On line 32 and 33, it begins to describe the work-based learning and defines it. So on the beginning of line 33, after includes, we struck paid or unpaid internships, cooperative education, clinical experiences, youth registered apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, externships, job shadowing, and school-based enterprises. And we inserted the line that says experiences that are aligned with CTE completer goals, post-secondary impact, and stakeholder feedback in their potential to provide students with 3E readiness framework outcomes and meet regional workforce needs. These experiences include clinical experiences, entrepreneurship, internship, registered apprenticeship, school-based enterprise, and select immersion supervised agricultural experiences. The reason why we inserted this line, it is the exact verbiage that is reflected in the Department of Education's 2025 updated definition of high-quality work-based learning published in July 2025. This is the exact language. And we want to tie experiences that count for graduation requirements. And so thank you, Madam Chair. Speaking to the bill, HB 180, it establishes a work-based learning coordinator pilot program to expand equitable access to high-quality work-based learning experiences for public school students. This program will provide resources to participating school divisions to employ or contract with a work-based learning coordinator who will perform certain duties defined by the bill to identify and facilitate work-based learning experiences for students. Participating school divisions will collect data regarding the implementation, participation, and outcomes of the program, which will be reported annually to the Virginia Department of Education, to the General Assembly, and the governor. This program is necessary to address the well-documented gap between content students learn in K-12 schools and the skills needed in the workplace. Graduates who don't immediately pursue higher ed often struggle to find a foothold in a career. And so employers often report they can't find enough workers with the necessary practical skills or experiences, even for entry-level positions. So work-based learning bridges this gap, and we want to make sure that students have real-world experience and networking opportunities before they graduate. Mind you, some of the terminology that we stricken, we use that in higher education. As a 20-plus year university administrator, these are the terms that we use in career and academic advising. And we want to make sure that we use the exact terminology positioned with the Virginia Department of Education so that it could be implemented and tie that to graduation requirements. And so, Madam Chair, I just wanted to acknowledge first that I know that there are certain school districts, such as Newport News Public Schools, through the New Horizons Regional Education Center, they already have a strong career and technical education center. Those centers provide excellent instruction and pathways for students. This bill does not replace or interfere with existing CTE centers. It is permissive, not prescriptive. It simply provides an option for school divisions or regional consortia that want to strengthen coordination of work-based learning experiences that count for graduation, especially in regions that do not yet have that level of infrastructure.
Thank you so much for your explanation of the bill. Back to the committee. Do we have any questions for the patron? Delegate Cherry.
Madam Chair, I would ask the question, other than having a different name, work-based learning coordinator versus career coach, it appears as though your bill does a lot of what Delegate Simon's bill does in terms of having that person in the school that's coordinating internships and that kind of stuff. It seems redundant if 138 is going to be acted favorably upon to create another program that, in essence, appears that it does the same thing. So I guess the question to the delegate would be, what's the difference?
Are you asking, so you're asking the question of the patron before us? Okay. You don't have to go there if you don't want to, just for the record.
Madam Chair, I would say to the delegate, I am unsure of Madam Chair's bill. However, we wanted to make sure that we provided the correct implementation and the correct definition of all the work-based learning experiences that tie to graduation. This gives the opportunity for regions across the Commonwealth to even combine their efforts, combine school districts to have this work-based learning coordinator so that everyone could have some work-based learning experiences. We know that even coordinating, even with school districts that have a very successful CTE center, we know that work-based learning experiences are labor intensive, which creates unequal access to opportunities for school divisions with limited capacity. And so we want to make sure that students who historically may have been sidelined will be actively brought into the fold of career development. And so with this bill, HB 180, I hope that is the will of the committee to pass with substitute.
Thank you. All right. Do we have folks who are here to testify in favor of this bill?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chris Bailey on behalf of the Virginia Association for Career and Technical Education. We strongly support this bill. This is meeting a real need. We greatly appreciate the patron and her championing this issue, and we hope that you will pass the bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Matthew Stanley with Richmond Public Schools, and today I'm also representing the RPS Ed Fund, our education foundation, and our organizations very much support this bill as we continue to approach our high school redesign and expanding CTE opportunities and pathways across the division. We welcome this additional state support in this pilot program. Thank you to the patron.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Charlie Russ with the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Our legislative agenda calls for greater investment in programs that prepare high school students to enter a skilled workforce, and in particular, create more hands-on work-based learning opportunities. This bill would help students develop the soft skills they need to work in a professional environment, skills like how to collaborate with team members and adapt to changing requirements. These skills are necessary to build future business leaders, but aren't always taught in the classroom. Studies show that strong soft skills lead to higher earnings and greater career advancement, among other advantages. Similarly, work-based learning opportunities like apprenticeships have demonstrated benefits for employees via higher wages and greater career satisfaction, and leads to a higher retention and a 44% return on investment. On behalf of our members, we ask that you report the bill, and thank you to the patron for her leadership.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Do we have folks online? We do. So folks online, please turn on your cameras and keep your comments to less than 1 minute. Starting with Dr. Jessica Jones. Go right ahead.
Good morning and thank you, Madam Chair and distinguished members of the subcommittee. As Virginia continues to focus on workforce development, the greatest challenge often lies in the gap between classroom instruction and real-world application. House Bill 180 addresses this by establishing that work-based learning coordinated pilot program. Having served as the president of the Virginia Association of Agricultural Educators, the Virginia Association for Career and Technical Education, and currently the Virginia Education Association Vice President, I tell you across the Commonwealth, we need to have provided dedicated coordinators to school divisions who can help ensure that every student has access to high-quality internships, apprenticeships, and clinical experiences. As an agricultural education teacher, I provide that to my students through immersion supervised agricultural experiences, but this crosses beyond the agricultural education content into all content areas in career and technical education.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. We appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right, Meg Gruber.
Good morning. Meg Gruber with VEA. We strongly support the bill and would like to thank the patron for all her hard work and dedication working with Dr. Jones to get this bill the way our students need it. Thank you.
All right, next up, Jen.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Jen Krajewski with the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities. And last year, our board released an assessment on pre-employment transition services for students with disabilities. And one of our key findings in that report was that these type of work-based learning programs are key to success for students with disabilities. So we would support any expansion of these kind of opportunities for all students. Thank you.
Mr. Bundrick.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Bo Bundrick, President of Virginia Association of Career and Tech Ed, and I also serve on the Governor's State Workforce Development Board. And on behalf of Virginia ACTE, we endorse this bill, House Bill 180. We thank Delegate Anthony for her service in helping us get this bill across the line. I will tell you that investing in these coordinators is an investment in Virginia's future workforce. So I urge the committee to support House Bill 180. And we thank you for your time and for your commitment to our students.
Thank you. We are now back to the committee. We do have a note on this bill that it needs to go to appropriations. So can I remind everyone that we do operate on a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like
Delegate Askew.
to make a motion. I'd like to report and refer HB 180 to appropriations as substituted.
It's been motioned and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. All right, you may close the roll. That bill reports on a vote of 9-1. Thank you, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In front of you is House Bill 333. House Bill 333 is very straightforward. In the wake of attempts to rewrite the history of January 6th and the attack on the U.S. Capitol and an attempt to overturn our democracy and the results of a democratic election, it puts specific guardrails in place on how that history can be taught while not mandating that any school board adopt teaching on January 6th. For the subcommittee, I want to read Joint Resolution 713, which passed unanimously on a bipartisan basis in 2021 from the House. It recognizes the National Guard. It notes that during the ceremonial counting of Electoral College votes by a joint session of the United States Congress on January 6, 2021, law enforcement officers of the Capitol estimated that 75,000 attendees of the Stop the Steal gathering surrounded the building. And as the count continued, participants turned violent, broke through barricades, with hundreds of insurrectionists ultimately breaching doors and windows to enter the Capitol and storm congressional offices and chambers. And that Governor Northam authorized the National Guard to deploy to Washington, D.C. in response to requests from Mayor Muriel Bowser, that it mustered its personnel, many of whom had to unexpectedly leave their homes. And those National Guard integrated with local law enforcement to safeguard security and ensure that the election was properly counted. This is fact. It is fact that was adopted and recognized by this body. And today, we have those all the way up to the White House seeking to rewrite and recast that history, something that in Virginia we know from the period of celebrating the lost cause has a dark history. So this is a common sense bill. All it does is put guardrails in place. It says, it's very few words. You can adopt a program of instruction on January 6, 2021. If you adopt it, the curriculum and instructional materials can't say it was a peaceful protest. It can't say that there was extensive election fraud that would have overturned the election. And it does have to reflect that it was an unprecedented and violent attack on the United States. This is not partisan. These are just facts. And I hope it's the will of the subcommittee to pass the bill.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Do we have any discussion from members of the committee? Do we have anyone present who would like to speak in favor of the bill? Do we have anyone present who would like to speak opposed to the bill? Please, Clerk, let's put a timer on. 1 minute per person, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Dr. Michael Huffman. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Assembly of Independent Baptists. And we are come before you today opposing HB 333, teaching January 6, 2021 in Virginia Public Schools as mandated by HB 333, framing it as solely as a quote-unquote unprecedented and violent attack, end quote, to overturn an election offers, quite honestly, no genuine educational value 6 years later. Regardless of blame, the bill pushes a one-sided left-wing narrative that risks indoctrinating students into woke, progressive ideologies rather than fostering critical thinking. True education equips children for life, not political agendas. Glorifying or mandating biased retellings of a dark day serves only short-sighted partisanship, not our kids' futures. Let's focus on timeless lessons, not divisive ideologies. Thank you very much.
I'm Dr. Sheila Fury. I oppose this legislation. I think it's another reason why everyone in the Commonwealth should pull their children from public education. This is explicit indoctrination. There is no mention of all the infiltration of all the FBI agents who coerced the crowd. There is no mention of the many innocent people who were jailed, some of them brutally beaten in prisons and in jails in the state of Virginia on a regular basis. They did nothing wrong. Many of them were invited by members or the guards at the Capitol into the Capitol. They had no idea. And I think it's really interesting that when you watch the videos of the people smashing windows, none of those people have been arrested or identified, leading to the conclusion those were FBI agents.
Thank you. Delegate Helmer, do you have a response to anything that was just presented?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the testimony that we just saw demonstrates the need for this bill. As individuals seek to rewrite history that as a bipartisan body, we recognized, as we sat there and recognized the National Guardsmen who were injured from Virginia, the Virginia State Police who were injured from Virginia as they sought to cover the breach and make sure that our Capitol and our democracy was safeguarded. We're not mandating that anybody teach January 6th. I think local school boards ought to be able to determine the breadth of history covered in the school consistent with our code. On the other hand, we're saying that you are not entitled to your own facts. You can teach about those who are seeking to rewrite the history of January 6th. You can teach about the lies being spread about January 6th. You can talk about that. You just can't frame them as truth. I think this is common sense. I think it's the direction we need to go, and the testimony today speaks to the need for a bill like this to make sure that we ensure that every single child in Virginia is entitled to the truth about our democracy, about our democratic process, and about an unprecedented violent attack that sought to undo the results of an election.
Thank you. I believe we may have online testimony. Okay, no online testimony for this bill. We are back to the committee. Delegate Anderson.
Yes, Madam Chair. I just want to speak briefly to this bill that I appreciate the patron bringing forward. I just want to highlight, because I know there's some confusion about what happened on January 6th, and reminding people that 18 people were charged with seditious conspiracy. And if anybody is wondering what that is, that means 2 or more people conspired to overthrow the U.S. government, levy war against it, or use force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law. And it applies to plots to violently opposing federal authority or seizing or taking. This is in addition to another 1,500 that were also charged, 1/3 found guilty. So I just want to highlight that this is about teaching truth, and that our courts have proven that it was an insurrection, and I want to make sure that our students are also taught those facts. Thank you.
Thank you. This committee operates by motion.
Motion to report.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 7-3. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, now I believe we are back to the committee for committee bills. Delegate Cousins, let's take your HB 859. Would you like to come up to the, okay. All right, please tell us about HB 859.
Thank you, Madam Chair. HB 859, it's simply a technical amendment to add details about composition of the Virginia Farm to School Task Force, which again is an existing program from the Virginia Department of Education that works to provide our students with access to fresh and healthy food that is grown here in Virginia. So the legislation simply specifies that the task force among its members should include members of the General Assembly, representatives from local school boards, representative from the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, from the Department of General Services, and also a small Virginia farmer or producer. The bill retains the Virginia Department of Education's ability to appoint additional members to the task force as it deems necessary. And additionally, the legislation requires the task force to report to the General Assembly by November 1st, 2026, to include a summary of the task force's work, the impacts of federal programmatic and budgetary changes on fresh food access for Virginia schools, and also recommendations to the General Assembly on any changes the task force deems necessary, really just like implementation changes, as an example, to increase student access to farm-to-school programs across the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Anyone here to testify in favor of this bill in person? Anyone here to oppose this bill in person? All right, moving online. Do we have anyone online? No online testimony. All right, we are back before the committee. Any final comments? Delegate Askew?
Madam Chair, move to report.
All right, it's been moved to report and properly seconded. You may open the roll, Madam Clerk.
You want to vote for your own bill?
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I would like to vote for that.
Yeah. All right. You may close the roll. That bill reports 10-0. Thank you very much, Delegate Cousins. Delegate Anderson, are you ready to present your bill?
Go
right
morning,
ahead.
Madam Chair and members of the committee. Today I'm introducing House Bill 290, which maintains accountability without creating unnecessary harm for children and families. This bill removes the criminal misdemeanor penalty for parents who knowingly false report statements about school residency and instead replaces it with a civil penalty while still maintaining the fine up to $250 to remain in place. As someone who's not only a legislator, but an employee in our public school system, I realize that parents make decisions in the best interest of their children, and in these types of occurrences, I do not believe we should be criminalizing intentioned parents. I hope it'll be the will of the subcommittee to pass this bill, and I am here for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? All right, hearing none, do we have anyone in favor who would like to testify? Come on down.
Thank you, Chair Simons, members of the committee, Taj Mayenheft with the Humanization Project. We support this bill because it reduces the collateral consequences on families who, whether they made a mistake or not, are just trying to help their kids. Decriminalizing things that should not be criminal offenses is always a good idea, and those consequences can matter. It can stop you from even being able to go with your children who you're trying to help on a field trip, and many, many more things, including supporting them. So thank you.
Thank you. Come right up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Helen Sharp with Americans for Prosperity, and we are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this bill? All right, moving online. I believe we do have one person who would like to testify. Welcome, Tom Smith. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Tom Smith with the Superintendent's Association.
This is a real problem in many of our localities and often includes multiple children. The bill, as I read it, we're talking about an intentional thing in which they intentionally give false information. We feel that is a problem. We've got to remember that when this happens, these parents are in actuality taking monies from the receiving school divisions or the localities by using these services without paying any taxes toward that. That's one of the reasons that tuition is there. And so we're very much concerned and understand that we would like to oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, can you tell us what organization you're representing?
Virginia Association of School Superintendents.
Thank you. All right, we are back to the committee. Just for everyone's awareness, we do have a note that if we act favorably on this bill, it does need to be referred to the Committee on Courts of Justice. Delegate Cherry.
Madam Chair, just a question prompted by his last statement about the tuition. It appears in your bill that they would still be responsible for paying for the tuition to that school division if they were using those services. Am I reading the bill correctly?
Madam Chair, to answer the delegate, yes. We are not stripping away the fee that is affiliated with this, now what I would like to be a civil penalty. We're just simply making it not criminalized to, not put that additional burden on families that may make the poor decision of that choice.
Any further questions? All right, this committee operates by motion.
Madam Chair, move to report and refer this to Courts Committee.
Second. It's been motioned and properly seconded to report and refer this bill to the Courts Committee. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 10-0 and refers to courts. Thank you. Next up, Delegate Kent, would you like to stay seated or would you like to come up front?
I'll come up if that's okay.
Okay, please come on up. Let's start with HB 653.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a substitute that I would like to move. I believe it is online.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the substitute is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. To explain this bill as it is now before you as a substitute, this would provide a minimum of 5 excused absences for a student whose family member is an active duty military member and who has either received orders for deployment, is on leave for deployment, or has recently returned from deployment, with deployment meaning outside of the United States. Additional excused absences up to 10, which is part of the substitute, may be granted at the discretion of the division superintendent. An excused absence is the purpose of it is for visitation, and now the substitute also allows for proper documentation from the family as requested by the superintendent. We understand that deployments can place a significant emotional strain on families, especially children, and by recognizing this for our military relatives, then we are creating a better guardrail to give schools the option to provide this excused absence. Just to further illustrate on what it means for excused or unexcused absence, this bill really doesn't identify that in terms of chronic absenteeism. It falls under the threshold of what is allowable by more than 70% of what's allowable for absenteeism. We're just now allowing the school divisions and giving some guardrails for the students and for their families.
Just to clarify the substitute language, how is that different from the underlying bill?
So we put a guardrail on the top. So my bill initially said 5 days excused, but now we say up to 10. And then anything in between the 5 to 10 has to be at the discretion of the superintendent. We also allow in there that you have to, if the superintendent asks, the family has to provide documentation showing that this was for a legitimate deployment.
Okay, thank you. Do we have questions from members of the committee? Delegate Anderson.
Yes, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question. I know that stipulations currently in Virginia schools, again, working there, is that if a school misses, has 10% absenteeism, they are at risk of losing accreditation. So my question to you is, I absolutely love what this bill does, and I want to support our military, absolutely. I'm just curious, what kind of protections are we putting in place for schools that already have excessive absenteeism that are at risk of losing accreditation, and possibly putting policy in place like this that might put them over that number?
Great question, Madam Chair. And that's why we put in the bumper for 10 days, so you can't go over. So currently, chronic absenteeism, whether it's excused or unexcused, is at 10%, which is roughly 17 days. So nothing is triggered until 17 days. A student can have cancer and undergo chemo treatment. They still have 17 days. So this is why I was saying we only get to 30% of the requirement before it would even trigger on the school's accreditation. So you have a huge kind of variance in there. So capping at 10 hopefully protects it. Giving at 5 only gives kind of a blip when you're looking at that student has 17 days throughout the school year. It wouldn't affect their assessment.
Madam Chair,
thank you.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Real quick. I do understand that. I want to just highlight that it's 10% for the entire school population, not the individual student. So I do understand that. I'm just making sure that we recognize it's the whole school, not just an individual student.
Okay. Delegate Tata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just really want to say thank you so much for bringing this bill. I represent Virginia Beach, which has a very high military population. Deployments are so hard on these families, and also the constant moving and all the other things that go along with that. So being protective of these children to spend more time with their parents is amazing. So I just want to say thank you, and I intend to support the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have anyone in person who would like to testify in favor of the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. With the substitute, we support the bill. It's moved to a posture that's similar to states like Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia. They all have these excused absences, but they do have caps somewhere in place. They have a top level. So with the cap, we feel comfortable with the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here who wishes to speak opposed to the bill? Do we have any online testimony? It looks like we do. We have one. Please turn on your camera and keep your testimony to less than 1 minute. Dr. Smith, go right ahead.
Madam Chair, member of the subcommittee, Tom Smith, again with the Superintendent's Association. We have no issue at all with the intent of this bill. We understand the importance of families being able to be together and to meet. In fact, I was speaking to a superintendent last night regarding this bill, and he indicated that they would try to make some accommodation. The issue that we have is the fact that whether it is a excused or unexcused absence, when you go to the department or to the state board, they're all considered absences, both for funding and for accountability. There is no provision in this for makeup. There's no provision for the child having to make up this time. It does, if you miss 10 days, it does get you close to that 17-day mark. So we're very much concerned about that. So we also see these bills come through the General Assembly almost every year, adding the absences in terms of excused, when in actuality that becomes a problem when we go to the department. You've got another bill coming through that we've seen that is going to be 30 days. So we just have a caution about these things, particularly when there's no provision in it for makeup for the child having to make up the time for that, at least for that 5 days in the beginning. So that is our concern. But again, we have no problem with the intent. We're just concerned about some unintended consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are back to the committee. Do we have a motion on this bill?
Move to report as amended.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to report and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 8-2. The committee will go at ease. All right, the subcommittee will come back to order. HB 873 from Delegate Kent. I recommend taking that by for the day. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of taking HB 873 by for the day, say aye. Okay, moving right along. I will hand the gavel over to Delegate Askew and go ahead and do my 3 bills. I'll start with HB 138.
Madam Chair.
HB 138 would add a career coach to every public high school. The career coach would support the work of the guidance counselors and specialize in connecting students to apprenticeship programs, job placements, dual enrollment opportunities, as well as internships and externships as required by the profile of a Virginia graduate. These career coaches would get to know the local labor market, large employers, and then would connect students to new employment opportunities coming to the area. For instance, Lego in Chesterfield or AstraZeneca in Albemarle County. These positions could be part of our Virginia economic development infrastructure. The idea is also to create a career ladder in the counselor's office. These coaches wouldn't have to be licensed teachers. They could just be good with kids and work under the direction of licensed counselors. So in a way, these positions would be a recruiting tool for more teachers and counselors. I realize that this is going to be quite expensive, so the expectation is that this will be, if this is approved by the committee, it will need to go to appropriations. But I believe it would be an investment and a big win-win-win for Virginia. Happy to take any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, we will go to the room. Is there anyone in person that would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Jack George with the Virginia High School Democrats. We strongly support HB 138. We believe every student across the Commonwealth should have access to good post-secondary plans, and we believe that with this career coach, it will benefit all students across the Commonwealth, and not only strengthen or help them find career paths, but also strengthen our workforce as a whole when they get out into their careers. So thank you so much, and I appreciate your time, and we strongly urge you to all vote in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, we will go online. Looks like there are 2 people online. First, we will have Ben Pearson Nelson.
Thank you, Ben Pearson Nelson, President of the Virginia Parent Teacher Association. We support this bill in that it connects students to potential careers and internships that will ensure their likelihood of employment after school. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ure.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, and members of the K-12 Education Subcommittee. My name is Sam Ure. I am VA retired after 25 years in the classroom, and I represent the Virginia Education Association. It is in the current climate of uncertainty and stress in all levels of society that sets a framework for my remarks. We have a mental health crisis going on. It's affecting society as a whole, but it's especially problematic for our students. 98,000 of them are suffering from major depression, 58,000 are not receiving treatment. This is in the context in which Virginia is having a ratio of roughly 1 school counselor for every 325 students, when the recommended ratio, according to their association, is 1 for every 250 students. This is also in the context of the 80-20 ratio that plays in effect with the counselors, with them having to have indirect or direct student support. One of the other things that's a factor is how many school psychologists there are ratio-wise, as well as how many social workers there are. If the goal is to implement and maximize student input and improve outcomes and ensure compliance, the game changer is career coaches. It takes some of the
Thank you,
stress
Mr.
off
Ure. I appreciate your remarks this morning. Thank you so much. Is there anyone that would like to speak online against the, seeing no one online, we are back in front of the subcommittee.
Mr. Chair, have a motion.
Delegate Rivera-Bola.
Sure.
One second.
Just a comment, please, sir.
Delegate Chair.
While I agree with the concept of it, I promised my school division and my county when I came that an unfunded mandate, I would try to never vote for one. It looks like per the FIST, this is going to be about a $12.8 million hit for local school divisions. And in that light, I would not support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Chair. Delegate
Can I
Simons.
respond?
Chair
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to that the delegate is correct that this is, but it's not meant to be an unfunded mandate. That's why it needs to go to appropriations. We're trying to get this kind of funding in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have to be careful. I believe that's the second time we said Delegate Chair was correct today, so we have to be careful on that. Delegate Rivera-Bola.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to report and refer to appropriations.
There's been a motion with a proper second to report and refer HB 138 to appropriations. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? With a vote of 7 to 3, HB 138 reports and is referred to appropriations. Chair Simons.
The next bill I have is HB 139, which allows school board employees who are state employee association officers to take unpaid educational leave to represent teachers at meetings with administrators, attend public meetings, and lobby elected officials for increased school funding and improved teacher pay. Currently, this bill would impact only a handful of association presidents who are on release with the Virginia Education Association in the state. In a nutshell, this bill would allow these teachers to buy back VRS service credits at their own expense after their leave.
Thank you, Chair Simons. Are there any questions for the patron? Delegate Chair.
Mr. Chair, I would ask the delegate, what happens to their position while they're gone? So they could be gone for up to 4 years, so a school division has to hold that position available for them? They're automatically rehired into their same position? What is the logistics of them being gone for an extended period of time and then coming back to a school division? How does that function?
Chair Simons.
I would say to the delegate that this allows schools to grant leave to these teachers, and it really incentivizes them to come back because they're able to pay back their retirement service credits, and that makes it so they will return. We know that we lose many teachers to other careers and other opportunities, so this bill would actually create an incentive for these teachers to come back to the district.
Any additional questions for the patron? Seeing none, we will go to the room. Is there anyone in person that would like to speak in favor of this legislation?
Good morning, Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. Just to emphasize, this would be a very small number of teachers. We currently have about 8 throughout the state who this would apply to. So very small number, just at the very largest districts. These teachers are normally quite experienced, and so districts often want them back at the end of their tenure. But the main problem right now and barrier is the buying back of retirement credits. This would have no physical cost. It would be an easy extension just to get these folks back in the classroom at the end of 4 years. So we ask for your support on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Stacey Haney on behalf of the Virginia School Boards Association. We are opposed to this legislation. A couple of points I'd like to make. First of all, while there may only be a handful of these folks currently on leave, what this bill does is mandate that every school board must grant leave to all of these folks. And you can't look at this in isolation. If other legislation is passed to mandate collective bargaining, then it's going to be every school division. And the state is going to be then mandated to give up to 4 years of leave for any officer of the state or local association. And while this bill may be, the intent of this bill may be directed at the VEA, it's not limited to the VEA. And there are school divisions that currently engage in collective bargaining that have multiple different unions. And this would require the school board to grant leave to the officers of any union that they've recognized in their school division. We're in a time of unprecedented teacher and staff shortages. To force school boards to give leave to these folks puts school boards in a really difficult position. This is something that the unions could bargain for, right? If they want to do this, let them bargain for it. But don't stack the deck against the school boards by mandating this. And let me be clear, we have no issue whatsoever with the VRS service credit. So if school boards grant the leave, then permitting the purchasing of the service credit, that's not a problem at all. And if this were permissive, if it said school boards may adopt a policy, I would have absolutely no opposition to that. And in fact, we're in favor of giving school boards local choice, and that would, what I've just suggested would do that. But mandating it on school boards in the environment we're in is just really put school boards in an untenable position. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have one person online. I believe we have one person online that would like to speak against HB 139, so we'll go online.
Mr. Chairman, I'm John Suswick with Virginia Professional Educators. VPE has several concerns about HB 139. We believe decisions regarding the full-time release of association officers should be made by local school boards, since each board is familiar with or has a better understanding of their district's unique needs. Additionally, association officers tend to be older, more experienced teachers, precisely the type of educators we need to retain in our classrooms. With the teacher shortage, it is likely that if the bill passes, these individuals will be replaced by first-year teachers or long-term substitutes, which may affect the quality of instruction. It is also likely that rural and small school divisions will be especially impacted. For these reasons, we urge you to not report HB 139. Thank you.
Thank you. We are back in front of the subcommittee. Any additional questions or comments from the subcommittee? This committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
I am referred. Oh. It's been probably moved and seconded to report HB 139. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? With a vote of 7-3, House Bill 139 reports. All right, and then Chair Simon, I believe you have one last one.
I do have one last bill to present.
Tim Rasul.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you letting us bounce around between committees here. First, we have House Bill 332. And House Bill 332 has amendment in the nature of substitute that is posted online.
Can I have a motion on the substitute?
Second.
The substitute is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 332 is trying to target one specific issue where we've got a shortage, in particular, of dual enrollment professors and teachers. And what this is trying to do is kind of a technical update to allow, and working with some stakeholders, we've tried to fine-tune that to ensure we've found a way to ensure that those instructors at a collegiate level that otherwise are qualified in a specific subject could then be qualified to teach dual enrollment in public high schools. And a variety of stakeholders came together for the substitute, and happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the committee? Do we have any folks present who wish to testify in favor of the bill? Come on up close to the podium. Go right ahead.
Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. We believe with the substitute, this bill really strikes the right balance of training in appropriate areas where folks will be instructing at the high school level. So given the substitute, we support the bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Randy Pearson with Two Capitals Consulting. On behalf of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Roanoke Regional Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank Delegate Rasul and Delegate Austin for their work on these bills, and we support them both. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Amira Williams. I'm representing Cedar Mountain and its CEO, Ed Dalrymple. Mr. Dalrymple served on the Virginia Community College Board under Governors McAuliffe and Northam. He is deeply committed to career and technical education. He strongly supports this legislation to meet the serious need for more instructors in dual enrollment programs. We would appreciate your support of HB 332 and HB 785. We thank Chairman Rasul for bringing this legislation forward.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chris Bailey on behalf of the Virginia Association for Career and Technical Education. We thank the patron for his leadership on this issue, and we strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Jeremy Bennett, representing the Virginia Association of Counties. VACO supports ways to strengthen and improve teacher recruitment and retention. And for those reasons, we thank Mr. Uberchair and support the bill.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online? Okay, those online, please turn on your camera and limit comments to less than a minute, as brief as possible, because we are running out of time.
Or even a thumbs up is great.
Yeah, even a thumbs up. So we'll go to Ben.
Thumbs up from the Virginia Parent Teacher Association. Thank you.
All right, Bo.
Yes. Virginia Association Career and Tech Ed does support this bill as it's a common sense measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan.
Alan Seaver, Ernest City Public Schools. Thank you, Chair Rasul. Thank you, Delegate Austin, and the partner organizations who helped make sure this was in a good posture. We appreciate the support.
Fantastic. We are back to the committee.
Move to report as substituted.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. All right, you may close the roll. That bill reports 10-0. And we have one more bill, HB 1171 from Delegate Rasul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1171. I do have a small couple line amendments. If I can ask the clerk to report those line amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, the first is on line 14 after assessments. Insert including pathways responsive to the needs of English learners and students with limited or interrupted formal education. And then on line 31 after projects, insert with attention to accessibility for English learners and students with limited or interrupted formal education.
Move the amendments.
Without objection, the amendments are before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What this has before us is that the Board of Education will develop and approve any alternative pathways to the standard SOLs and for them to be able to meet the verified credit requirements. The board will look at a variety of criteria as laid out in the bill, including meeting with stakeholders to determine what may be a responsible alternative pathway in thinking through how to approach this. As you know, we have in Virginia, we have 28 SOLs and the federal minimum is 17. So we potentially have some alternative pathways that the board could explore, and this gives them some guidance as they move forward, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have folks in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. We very much appreciate the patron for bringing this bill. Additional rigorous pathways to graduation are certainly welcome, especially for students that might be challenged to pass an SOL or have test anxiety or have a disability that doesn't disqualify them from having to get that verified credit. This is an important bill for many students, and this can be an additional rigorous pathway set by the Board of Education to make sure that students are meeting high standards for graduation requirements. For all those reasons, we support the bill.
Anyone here wishing to oppose the bill? Moving online, we have a few people online to testify. Please turn on your cameras and limit your testimony. Be as brief as possible. Ben, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Virginia PTA supports this legislation.
Thank you. Hank.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I am an attorney with the Youth Justice Program at the Legal Aid Justice Center, which represents students with disabilities with obtaining special education support and services. LAJC rigorously supports HB 1171 because this bill offers a framework for creating pathways to graduation that will positively impact students with disabilities. VDOE's graduation data shows that more students with disabilities earn standard diplomas when assessment barriers are addressed. When these students are permitted to demonstrate proficiency through performance-based assessments, portfolio, or work-based learning, they are far more likely to graduate with a diploma that supports access to college, financial aid, and employment. HB 1171 will help reduce diversion of these students into inappropriate diploma tracks and support the goal of increasing graduation rates with diplomas that meaningfully expand post-high school opportunities. We thank Delegate Rasul for this bill and urge its support.
Thank you. Alan.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alan Seaver, Roanoke City Public Schools. In Roanoke City Public Schools, we have over 2,600 English learners, more ELs than some divisions have total students. We are also active, engaged, and supportive of refugee resettlement in our region, resulting in a number of SLIQ students. We thank Chair Rasul for this legislation.
Thank you. All right, back to members of the committee. Any further discussion?
Move to report as amended.
Second.
It's been moved to report and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, you may open the roll. You may close the roll. That bill reports 10-0. Thank you, Delegate Rasool. I have one more bill to present, so I'm going to pass the gavel over to Delegate Askew.
Madam Chair, whenever you're ready.
All right, I have a library specialist bill. HB 263 establishes a certified statewide school library specialist position within the Department of Education to provide leadership and technical assistance, cultivate learning materials, advise school divisions across the Commonwealth. Literacy improvement, reading recovery, and strengthening public education have been a focus of the General Assembly for years. This bill is a strategic investment toward those goals. Strong, modern libraries, adequate staff are necessary aspects of improving students' reading abilities and media literacy. I hope it will be the will of the committee to act favorably on this bill.
Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this bill? All right, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this bill in the room? I believe we have a few folks online. So we'll go online and start with Ms. Heather Murphy.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Heather Murphy. I am a high school librarian, and I serve as the legislative coordinator with the Virginia Association of School Librarians. I am here in support of HB 263. After the Great Recession in 2008, this position had been eliminated. So reestablishing a dedicated library specialist at the VDOE would ensure the application of evidence-based state and national library standards. It would assist with the Virginia Literacy Act implementation, provide licensure guidance and professional development, and support smaller school divisions that do not have district-level library supervisors. Thank you to Delegate Simons for carrying this bill, and we firmly support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kristen Young.
Good morning. My name is Kristen Young, Chair, and thank you, Patron, for this bill. I support this bill. VEA supports this bill. I do believe the VDOE is a bridge between not only the constituents of the entire state, but also the students and the instructional staff of the K-12 students. Having someone with experience in that position needs to be reestablished. That experience also gives the instructional staff in the schools the direction that they deserve, and having folks up in the Department of Education for Virginia understanding the setting and where it comes from is most important. And having that equal representation of someone who has been in the schools and understands the responsibilities and accountability. So thank you. We support this bill.
Thank you. Dr. Ben Pearson Nelson.
Mr. Chair, thank you. The Virginia PTA supports this bill.
Thank you. We are back in front of the subcommittee. Are there any questions for the patron?
Mr. Chair, I have a motion.
Delegate Cousins?
Thank you. I would like to, Mr. Chair, thank the patron for bringing this bill, especially considering the literacy gaps and issues that have come to light over the last few years. And so with that, I move to report and refer to appropriation.
Second.
There's been a motion to report and refer with a proper second to appropriations. Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll, and with the vote, please close the roll. With a vote 9-1, this House bill is reported and referred to appropriations, and I will hand the gavel back over to
Thank you. That concludes our business today. So without objection, we are adjourned.